Oh, hi there. Welcome to Shogi in the West, an English language podcast dedicated for active Shogi players and active Shogi learners around the world. In this podcast, we focus on the topics and the people that matter to those of us outside Japan trying to make our way in this beautiful game. And today is the first in line of the interview series, which I hope to continue with. As I mentioned, the podcast's goal is really to put names and faces to people that are out there playing and enjoying shogi. And so this is, if anything, sort of bait. This episode will be bait in order to see who else might want to be interviewed. I'm looking for people. I've had a couple responses. We'll need more than that to keep this as an active podcast. But that is the goal. This will serve as a prototype. I am going to interview myself. One of the things that I learned early on is that learned early on in this podcast is that not everyone knows who I am or anything about me. They don't watch the stream. They somehow got recommended the podcast and they've started listening to it and or watching it. And they have no idea, not that they should, but they have no idea who I am. So I'm going to interview myself. This is the form, I believe, or the early form of how future interviews will take place. So I'll begin. So let's do it. Let's do it. Hope this won't be too embarrassing. Hope this will be at least mildly interesting. And I hope that other people will be willing to put their names, their faces, and their voices to this process. And just let me know. I'm available on Discord, YouTube comments, and I have a new email address for these purposes, shogidad81@gmail.com. So all one word. Shogidad was taken. So shogidad81, there are 81 squares on the shogi board. So shogidad81@gmail.com. But the faster way will be to talk to me on the stream, talk to me in Discord, or respond in the YouTube comments. So all that aside, greetings to our guest, Frank, a 1Q player on Shogi Wars. Welcome to the channel. And have you played any shogi today? This is going to be a question that I am stealing from Chess Journey's podcast, where he asks if they play chess. So have you played any shogi today? Thank you for having me here. I'm glad to be here. I'm excited about this podcast. I'm excited about this interview. I have played shogi today. I played 3 games on Shogi Club 24 as part of a stream that I did. Today is Tuesday, and typically on Tuesdays and Thursdays when I stream shogi, I do it on Shogi Club 24 because of the T in Tuesday and the TH in Thursday. It kind of sort of goes into slow and thoughtful shogi Tuesday, slow and thoughtful shogi Thursday. So those are those days. Also, I generally prefer to play on Shogi Wars a lot of times. So this gives, if I'm streaming every day of the week, Tuesdays and Thursdays give me some slow, thoughtful time. Monday, Wednesday, Friday gives me the Shogi Wars, and people seem to enjoy the Shogi Wars more. So long story short, yes, I have played shogi today. Well, that's great. That's interesting. Tell me about your streaming experience. What made you stream shogi? I started streaming shogi in December of 2023. I had been playing shogi for a little bit. I wasn't making too much progress, but I was playing over the board, and I wasn't enjoying playing online as much as I enjoyed playing over the board. So I thought, let's kill a few birds with one stone and try to find a love of the online game, like I have with the over the board game. Let's try to sort of not make incentive, but make some way to force myself to play more. I'm a big believer that improving in these games requires you to play a lot, and so that added push of people are expecting me to stream, so I better stream. I thought that would keep me playing online, keep me playing more games, just kind of keep my eyes on the prize, where I want to improve, and I don't want to necessarily just get bogged down in air quotes with study, because I've seen that happen to chess players in some way when I was trying to get better at chess. That sort of happened to me too, where I didn't really enjoy playing online as much. I liked playing at a couple clubs, but I spent more time studying, doing checkmate problems, watching chess content, watching chess tournaments, basically everything but playing online. So there was that. So there's two reasons there. And then the third, which I think is a big thing, and it was the added thing that made me say I'm going to stream. It was to kind of get people excited about the game. If you're coming, my feeling was, and this is obviously everything is just my own perception and my own takes on things. So I don't anything I say I don't think is the truth by any means. It's just my perception. But my perception coming into the shogi world in the West is that not many people are playing it, and the people that play it maybe don't enjoy it so much. And that's maybe a hot take, but I guess with the experience out of the chess world or the video game world, if you even think about it that way, if you one of the genres that I played were fighting games like Street Fighter. These people, they're streaming and they're playing constantly. They play. They love the game, so they play the game. Why else do you play a game if you don't enjoy it? But shogi streams, whenever I would see them, the rare times they existed, the people weren't playing. They were doing puzzles or playing marbles or doing other things like that. Obviously, there's plenty. I have streamed puzzles. I stream a book, but like at some point, I felt like we need to show people playing and enjoying the game. That's a huge thing. To get people excited, they have to get people to want to play shogi in the West when they have a perfectly great game like chess available to them. I think you need to show them why they should care. Like, why should I care? And just not playing or playing and not really kind of getting into it, I don't think it does as much of a sales job. And my experience up to that point prior to streaming was playing at a over the board, air quotes, club, aka a coffee shop. It was 2 or 3 of us playing every Sunday. My experience there was that people would see us be excited about the game. They'd see us playing. We'd be intensely playing, moving these strange pieces around, and people would watch. And inevitably, they would ask, like, "What is that game?" And there's our in. There is the in. What is this game? Is it mahjong? and then we're there. And so I thought if I could do the same kind of thing while streaming, maybe we can get some excitement going. And so that's it. I had no grandiose plans, but really it was those 3 things. I wanted to force myself to play so that I can improve. I wanted to find a love of online shogi, and I wanted to get some sort of buzz, help build excitement around this game, for people that are in the West. Well, so, interviewer voice. Have you found that love of online shogi? Interviewee voice. I think so. I think so. It seems strange that it's been a year and a half or over a year and a half, and I don't have an immediate yes, effusive yes answer. Might be a little weird. But things are not always simple answers. Like I enjoy playing online more than I ever have before, and there are times, there have literally been times when I've been playing at a shogi club when I've been thinking, I can't wait to get home and play some shogi wars, which prior to that would have been unheard of. So yes, I have found that love of shogi, of playing shogi online. But at the same time, take a sip of water here. At the same time, I think the shogi sites and the online shogi world doesn't quite make it easy to love them so much. So it's constant. It's a constant bit of frustration at what could be. When I see how, to my perception, how great the online chess world is, to see how many players are out there at so many different levels, learning and playing and having tournaments. It's really admirable, and it's really sort of jealousy inspiring as a shogi player. But overall, I would say yes, it has. That love of shogi, of online shogi, has come on. That said, I also love playing. I still love playing over the board, and I think depending on the circumstances, I enjoy playing over the board more. But those circumstances are kind of, I don't want to say collapsing. It's getting more stringent. So my enjoyment of the online shogi world means that my offline requirements start getting a little higher to be able to match. So it's a good thing. I'd say it's a good thing. And if I was to, prior to streaming, if you would have told me that I would have played like 2,000 plus games on stream, in a year and a half, I'd be ecstatic. I'd be absolutely ecstatic. I'm seeing something weird here. Okay, so I was just seeing some weird artifact in my video. But yeah. So I would say yes. Tell me more about your offline. When did you start playing offline? Well, stepping back, yeah. How about we do that? Tell me about how you got into shogi. Let's reverse and go into the origin story. All right, I can do that as well. Around 20-ish years ago, I was playing Go. I was playing the game of Go, Baduk, Weiqi, and there is a manga there. There's a manga or an anime that I was watching, as every Go player knows, Hikaru no Go, and Hikaru, that series, Hikaru no Go, had a character, Kaga, who is the president of the high school show, or high school. Now I don't remember, high school or sort of middle school. Well, either way, whatever school it actually is. Haze Chu, I guess that's middle school. Chu is middle. He was the president of the Shogi Club, and also was a strong youth Shogi Go player. So anyway, I really liked that character. He wore a kimono, and it had a big thing that with the king, the Shogi king, and he was a cool kind of character. If you know the anime, you'll probably like Kaga. But and he's sort of a little bit of a rogue with a heart of gold. But he was, so that's where I learned. I think that's where I learned about Go. And Go sort of being a shogi adjacent game, Japanese culturally, there were references to shogi in other Go materials. I remember seeing it probably on Sensei's library. There is a famous Go book by Yasunari Kawabata called The Master of Go, where it's a sort of historically I'd say it's a fiction of historical accuracy, I think might describe it. But anyway, it's a tale about an older Go master in his final title defense, I believe, against a younger player of the new generation, and there's a lot of meaning behind that. But regardless, one of the things that the master did in between games with the author who was working for the newspaper was play shogi, and he'd play other people as well. So they play shogi, and the master was a game lover, and shogi was one of those games. So I learned of shogi in that way. And so I learned how the pieces move, between 15 years ago. I learned how the pieces move, probably played a little bit. I seem to remember, I don't know if 81 Dojo or Shogi Club 24 in the Java version were around then. I think they were. So I seem to remember creating an account, and I seem to remember playing some games. But anyway, I stopped. Life happened, kids happened. Kids were happening. I guess not kids happened. Kids were happening at that time, and I drifted away from the game. Never really to come back to it until, and this will, I assume, be common with many listeners. I came during lockdown. During lockdown, everyone's at home looking for things to do, and chess filled that void for, I'm going to guess, millions of people in the United States and in around the world. But for some people, shogi filled that. And for me, both. I was consuming every Magnus Carlsen chess tour and chess event, but I was also picking up shogi and trying to learn shogi. The online wasn't so great. I've never been a huge fan of 81 Dojo. I'm continuing to increase my enjoyment of 81 Dojo, but compared to chess sites, these are all antiquated, sort of functionally lesser. Shogi sites are sort of functionally lesser and not as sophisticated or as appealing as the chess sites. But I joined the online Discord for what was at the time called the South Bay Shogi Club. I'm in Northern California, Bay Area, and in particular in the South Bay, there was a club called I think it was called South Bay Shogi Club, and we met online on Monday nights, where maybe one or two people played some games on either 81 Dojo or maybe even Lee Shogi. I think it was 81 Dojo, and that happened. And then one day, once lockdown was lifted, we met at the president's house. He made some dinner. We played some games. I played one game against someone who is still at the club. The club is now called the Silicon Valley Shogi Club, and I'm guessing the largest or close to the largest club in the United States. It's got a lot of players, and but anyway, so I played someone there. He's still there. I lost to what I call the rite of passage, where I was a Nakabisha player, and Static Rook just keeps pushing his rook pawn forward, and if you defend one move too late, they bust in, and that's exactly what happened. He busted in, dropped a pawn on the head of my bishop, and you just came in, and and I lost. So that was a fun time. And then a little later than that, I don't know the exact timeline. I was still just kind of, I felt like playing. I wasn't playing much online. I wasn't studying or really improving or anything like that. but I said, I had a feeling it was a Saturday. I went to the Discord and I said, does anybody feel like playing today? Does anyone feel like playing? And someone responded to me and said, we don't meet today, but on Sunday mornings we meet in the East Bay. This was the at the time, this was the leader of the East Bay Shogi Club, which is about an hour drive from me with no traffic. So in the morning, it takes about an hour, between 50 minutes to an hour to get there. And then driving back home, once there's a little more traffic, it's about an hour 10 to an hour and a half. So it's a pretty big distance, but not that bad. And so I went, and it was him, and it was an 8-year-old kid from Japan whose family was visiting for some work at the University of California, Berkeley. And we played, we rotated games. They were both better than I am. And I've been doing it ever since. And that was about 3 years ago. And that's the origin. That's really the origin. That's interesting. I guess I'll start with things like that to try to show that I'm the interviewer now. I was going to put a hat on, but I thought I'd forget it and it would be extra confusing. But anyway, that's interesting. How good were the other players? You did you what did you expect going in? Did you expect to be able to compete? Did you expect to get crushed? Were you nervous? How was that experience? Back to me. I was expecting, I don't know what I was expecting. I think I expected to be the worst. I definitely expected to be the worst. And I expected to lose, but I didn't think it would be that bad. For whatever reason, I wasn't too worried about it. And as it turned out, that's really how it went. So, I went there. I saw the leader of the club. So, I'm an older person. I'm an adult, and I went and I saw the leader of the club. I was estimating somewhere in the sort of early 20s for him, which I think might have been a little high. I actually don't know. But I think I was, when I first saw him, I thought, maybe he's 20, maybe early 20s. And then obviously I saw him playing the kid. And I had some experience playing young kids at local chess clubs. So I wasn't too afraid of that. But, this little kid, and the kid's mom was there. And so, I watch, we greet. I talk to the mom while we're watching the game. They're playing, they're playing really well. And then I think the first game I played, so I played next. I think I played the leader of the club. I think. Now I don't remember. I mean, it's actually amazing me that I don't remember the details of that first day. And I'm probably confusing this with another point, but I think I played a good game that first day and got to a point possibly where I might have missed. There's some early portion in my history where I had a mate in 3, a corner mate in 3, which I missed and will never miss again. It's one of those mates that you lose sleep over. But anyway, I had a great game. We got win or lose, close or not. I don't remember 100%, but it was a good game. And then I think I played the kid, and he probably crushed me. He played very fast. He was very tactical, static rook, and I'm sure I know I lost because I didn't win a game at that club for a long time. In terms of their ratings, ooh. I honestly don't remember what their ratings were or how good they were. I think the kid, So they were about the same level. My understanding is that before I started coming to the club, they had been playing for a few weeks, and the kid was winning every game. And then at some point around when I came, I think the leader started winning more games. But it was always a balance. But I think the kid, I want to say, was like 1 or 2 Q Shogi Wars. And I think the leader of the club was 1 or 2 Q Shogi Wars. Both of them, I think, around 1 or 2 Q 81 Dojo. I think. And that kid and his family, they stayed for another 6 months. So they stayed at this club for about 6 months. And by the time he left, I think the kid was around Shodan. And I think the leader of the club was at that level, but hadn't played. I always thought he was underrated online. So he probably was like only 1 Q. I think he's still underrated online. But yeah, so that was that. Interview side. So what was it like to lose every week? Did you consider stopping? Were you getting discouraged? I was not. So I was not getting discouraged. I was really enjoying the games. So that's the thing about Shogi, is that if you're having fun, and I guess this is true about any game, if you're having fun, the losses don't, I was going to say the losses don't sting. Some of them sting, but they don't hurt, if that makes any sense. They sting, you want to win, you want to get better, you want to compete, you want to make the other players' games, you want the other player to have an interesting time playing you. I think at some point as well, at least for me, that's a thing, is that I don't want the other player to be bored playing me. I'd like to give them a challenge. I want them to have a reason to come back the next week and play me again because I'm enjoying the games. So it wasn't discouraging. It wasn't hurtful. I really enjoyed it, and I think it was motivating for me. And I do think I improved there quite a bit, and I got a lot of great experience because the kid played the kid played Static Rook, and the leader of the club played and plays Third File Rook. So the kid was Static, the leader is Third File, and I was Nakabisha. So we had this nice little mix of styles that we just played with. And I thought it made it special, just sort of emotionally, and especially as I get older, these kinds of things mean more and more to me. But it was really fun to have that balance of players, to have that 3 different people, just three different stages of life kind of in this thing, but all of us loved Shogi, and the mom was there as well, which made it really fun just to be discussing this stuff with them, and that was just a great time. And in addition to that, even if I would have been discouraged, the thing was, from the beginning, we played at this coffee shop, and it's a nice little independent coffee shop on this street near-ish to University of California, Berkeley. And the coffee's great. I love coffee. And so the drive was great in the mornings. It's just a real beautiful, calming drive. So, I would leave around 7:30 or so in the morning to get there on Sunday morning. And I'd get my coffee there, play Shogi. We used nice equipment. I think this is kind of key. We used nice equipment that was fun to play with. We played with clocks, which just lend that feeling of, I don't know, something to me. It lends some nice feeling of sort of legitimacy and realcy. Realcy is not a word. Just like a reality to the game. That there's a clock and we're making moves, and it was just those 6 months especially were a great time. Okay, well, what happened when the kid left? Did you break apart at all? No, I kept playing, and I kept going out every week, and you're putting a lot of miles on the car. It's 52 miles each way, so that's like 104 miles to play shogi once a week. That's a lot of miles on the car. That just doing the maths, as our European friends would say, just doing the maths. 50 weeks. Although we didn't really meet 50 weeks, I'm sure we had more than 2 weeks off. But just doing the easy math, 50 weeks of the year, that's 5,000 miles. That's a lot of miles for the club, but it was worth it. It was worth it, and it was just the two of us for a long time. And we'd play 3 games. I think once we might have played 4 games, but we'd get generally 2 or 3 games. And he kept improving, I kept improving, and to this day he's still, I would say, significantly better, noticeably better than I am. But we have competitive games, and so it's competitive enough that I hope it's fun for him. It's certainly fun for me, and the coffee is still great. Sometimes we have to go to a different coffee shop, which it doesn't have as good a coffee when it's cold or raining. But it's fantastic. Then recently, in the past few months, we've gotten more people. I think some of the people that asked, I think 1 or 2 of the people that come now, I think they might have been people that asked, what game is that? I think. Because almost, inevitably, I would say at least once a week on average, someone asks, what game is that? What is that game? They ask about the game, and sometimes we have a short conversation. Sometimes we have a slightly longer conversation. But it's almost always, without fail, someone will ask what that game is. And that's it. So it's continued. We've both continued playing. We've both continued improving, and now we have like a third. I'd say a third player that's regular now. So a dedicated third player, and we have some others. So that it's not uncommon, I'd say, for us to have between 4 and 6 players now coming to this little coffee shop. It's great. It's great. I don't know what we'll do if we start getting more. But it's a nice number. It's a nice number. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Why do you go to any other clubs? Yes, I do. the club that I mentioned, the Silicon Valley Shogi Club, they meet 5 minutes away from me every week on Tuesday nights, and they meet in a Panera. It's a Panera. It's a corporate. It's a chain restaurant that has breads and coffee and stuff like that, and soups and meals. But it's a nice location, and usually there's a big portion of the room open on like a Tuesday night, and the club sort of starts occupying it. And I used to go to that club regularly. I started drifting away. I was getting just Tuesday nights were becoming, for whatever reason, like the low point of my energy. When I was working and I was doing shogi, and it was I was getting tired. I was tired, so I wasn't going regularly. And then it got to the point at that club, and this is going to sound like the lamest thing you've ever heard. I've said this before on stream. So apologies to people who've heard this before, but it started. The pieces that they started using, or they had always been using, but people were bringing their own, or I was able to bring my own. I was earlier. The pieces they started using they're just for me. I'm weird. They're just not enjoyable to play with. They're these very lightweight wood pieces that have machine printed characters on them, and I think they look kind of sloppily applied, and they don't feel great to snap these pieces. And I hear myself sounding lame as I'm saying it. So, I don't want to talk too much about that, but I don't enjoy playing. It's very strange. This is as far, I guess one of the things I've learned about me or about my relationship to this game is that, I know I'm an equipment nerd for any game I play, chess, shogi, go, backgammon, whatever. I'm an equipment nerd and I like nice equipment. But I just didn't know how the extent of that, where if I'm playing with equipment that I actually do not like, I won't have fun. I just won't have fun. And so I wasn't having fun. Like playing with these pieces, I just wasn't having fun. And when I'm not having fun, I don't care what's going on. And when I don't care what's going on, I'm not playing that well. And when I'm not playing well, I'm losing to people who I should be winning against. Should be winning against. And it's just it's like this cycle of just making it such that I started dreading going on Tuesday nights, because the thought, I thought, all right, I'm done with my stream. I'm going to go play over the board tonight. I played well on my stream. I'm still got energy. I'm going to go to the club, and then I go to the club, and the boards are already laid out, so I can't put my board up there, and I can't put my board in pieces. So the boards are laid out, and they're those pieces that I hate, and I just get this gripping. This hand grips my stomach and just kind of squeezes, and I've got this bad feeling in my stomach. And I don't have a great excuse and a great explanation for it. It's so lame. It's so lame. I acknowledge that it is a lame excuse, and I acknowledge that I'm a lame person, but I am what I am. Well, that's funny. I've never heard that. I've never heard anyone say that before. I was going to say, why don't you play with your own pieces? But you went into that, and so anyway, what are there any other clubs? Are there any other clubs? Yes, the San Francisco Shogi Club is also one that I go to when I can. It is they meet online once a month on the first Saturday of the month, and online at 81 Dojo, and they meet offline, in person, usually on the third Sunday of the month in San Francisco, Japantown. So timing wise, it's sort of course it's complementary to my East Bay Shogi meetups. So Sunday morning, I'll go to the East Bay and play some games. And then from there, it's not quite on the way home, but San Francisco is far from our house, but it's sort of tied in from the East Bay into the South Bay. So I'll go when I can, when we have time, like if too much family isn't with me, or if we don't have other obligations, I'll go and I'll play, from 1 to 5 p.m. And those are very strong players. So we have had, 2 United States Shogi champions have been there. The 2023 and 2024 champions have both been there. There is another very, very strong player who is there, a new player who is a chess grandmaster. And there are the 2 leaders of the club who are both 3-dan 81 Dojo players. And then there's some other strong players that go as well. And it's a great little club. It doesn't have as many people as Silicon Valley, but the players, for the most part, are very strong. And it's really nice. And they play with nice plastic pieces. Like, when I say nice pieces, or it's not even that I like to play with nice pieces. It's that I don't like to play with bad pieces. Like, I love good plastic pieces. I would much rather play with good plastic pieces than bad wood pieces. So, that's a quirk of mine. Obviously, I love nice wood pieces as well. So I like the nice wood pieces. I like the medium niceness of wood pieces. I love nice plastic pieces. Nice plastic pieces on a vinyl board, like that tournament setup. Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. I love it. But just sort of inferior wood pieces are just weird for me. And I'm weird, and that's probably all we should talk about in terms of my quirks about my pieces. Fair enough. Fair enough. So you go to 3 clubs, one more regular than the other. What how many times have you what am I trying to ask? How many games are you playing in these sessions? So, like I said, in the East Bay, it's usually 2 to 3 games. It depends on how many other players are there. If more players, it's probably going to only be like 2 games because you sort of rate, especially if it's odd, you rotate. But sometimes it could be as many as 3 players. We play, or 3 games. We play from 9 a.m. to 11:30 or 12. So you can get a few games in, especially if you're not playing with clocks. You might get 2 games, but if you play with clocks, you can speed it up. San Francisco Shogi Club we play with clocks. Again, I love that. 5 minutes with 40-second byoyomi. So the games move. It's 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So you can easily get in 5 games. If there are enough players to rotate around, you could easily get in 5 games. I think the most I've ever played in one day on a Sunday at the San Francisco Shogi Club is 6 games. I think the fewest I've played is like 3 games. But there's that. The Silicon Valley is a little more difficult because it's 7 to 9 p.m. or so, and it's a hard cutoff because the restaurant actually closes. So usually it's 1 to 2 games. I've sometimes gone and had 1 game, and then there was no one wanted to play, or they just wanted to study, or there was a beginner that was getting taught. So it's like that. Okay. Well, that's good. Did you at any point in here did you think about playing tournaments? And interviewee voice. Yes, but there aren't many tournaments out here. In the United States, for people who are in Europe, they may not appreciate how many tournaments they have available. But out here in the U.S., we have an annual tournament that is the U.S. Shogi tournament and U.S. Shogi Championship. It is, I believe, it's probably regularly in April. And there is a tournament that I don't know is newer or if it's always been going, but it seems to be a tournament in Los Angeles in the fall. So those are the only 2 that I'm really aware of that are consistent. And the U.S. Shogi Championship is probably the only one maybe that has been regular all the time. So yeah, and I did go to that. I did go to the 2024 United States Shogi Championship, and I attended the 2025 as sort of a spectator that luckily turned out to be an opportunity to man their stream booth. Oh, that's cool. Well, first let's talk about 2024. How was that? When you joined into the East Bay Shogi Club, you sounded like you didn't know what to expect. Did you have any better sense going into your first tournament? I expected to get blown away, I think, really. I expected to come in and be potentially the weakest player or one of the weaker players. But I had some confidence in the fact that I thought there would be a good chance that I would be one of the most active over the board players. By the fact, because I was playing every week in the East Bay, and at that time, I think pretty much every week in Silicon Valley, I thought that I'll have over the board experience, and most of the people there will not. So I had some confidence there. I had some confidence because a few people on stream were showing me how to defend against, for example, bogeying, something that I had trouble with from the beginning of my time as a Nakabisha player. I had trouble with bogeying, and I got some really nice advice from three stronger players. It was Spinal Tap Chess, Killer Ducky, and Tori the Panda. I haven't seen Tori the Panda in ages, but the three of them on stream, I think it was the week of the tournament, had been showing me ways to think about defending against bogeying. And in the first game of the tournament, sort of all my experience came to play and came into be and helped me win. So the game was against a young kid, and I had all this experience against the young kid from the club. So I kind of knew what to expect. I knew, quote, air quote, knew that he was probably going to play fast, probably going to play quickly. He was, he's a kid. He's going to be aggressive. I was thinking he's going to play static rook, and he'll potentially be impatient. So I just have to play my game, maybe let him make a mistake, and then capitalize. And that's and in a lot of ways, that is how it went. He played static rook. I think he tried bogeying. I seem to remember using. I know there was another game also that was used bogeying where I used this approach that those three people had taught me about. But I stayed. He played fast. He played static rook. He played aggressively, and I held in there. And eventually, we got to sort of a steady state in the position, and he pushed a pawn a little too aggressively. So he pushed a pawn. I was able to take and then threaten his knight, which had jumped. And somehow I was able to sort of nurse that advantage or convert that advantage into a nice yose, like a nice attack. And I was making threats, and the kid was seeing them all. And then he went on a final assault, and I was able to hold it off and then make my mate. I'm blanking now. I probably, second as I'm off stream, I'll remember exactly the mate. But in my mind, I want to say I think it was a mate in 9 that I read at the board and saw it, made it. I think he resigned once he saw, I think he resigned once it became like a mate in 3, something like that. And that was my first win. So the relief was incredible. Just sort of the happiness of having won a game in the tournament. And I managed to play some of my best games that weekend. It's funny. It's both funny and sad that was April of 2024. And some of the wins I had that weekend to this day are some of the biggest wins I've ever had, either online or offline. And, I want to believe that I've improved. If you held a gun to my head, I would say, absolutely, I have improved in the past year and a half. I think most people would agree. Anyone who's watched the stream or anyone who plays me regularly would say, yeah, I've improved. But, results wise, I don't know if I've ever had results as good as that first tournament. And, it's weird how that works. And, some people, maybe it was just luck and there's no point in thinking more about it. Or maybe I just play better in those situations. Maybe it was that advantage of having all this over the board experience, all this clock experience. And, yeah. So if anyone is thinking about clocks or, about playing over the board and thinking, will it help? I think the answer is yes. You'll enjoy it, more importantly, but I think it will help your game. Well, that's cool. That was 2024. Why didn't you play in 2025? Well, there are a few reasons, and even in my head, I'm not necessarily. I couldn't give an accurate percentage of why, of the various reasons why. But I'll just list and then talk. The first reason is that the tournament was quite expensive. I think it was around $200 entry fee, around $100 for the dinner, some other. So basically $3 plus $100 for the event all told. And then even though it was held in San Francisco, it's far enough from my house that if I want to compete, I sort of need to be in that mental state to compete. Even if I'm a terrible player, I don't want to compete on my back foot. I want to give my best. So I thought I would have to get a hotel. So I'd have to get a hotel so that I wouldn't have to go back home, an hour away when I'm tired and then leave very early in the morning, an hour away to drive in and worry about parking in San Francisco and all this kind of stuff. So I thought I'd have to get a hotel, and a hotel for 2 or 3 nights. You're looking at a minimum, of $600 to $1,000 in that area, and so there was the cost of that, which was really it was in some ways it felt to me almost like I shouldn't be spending so much on a hobby. It's like, I've got a family. We've got it felt a little irresponsible. It's probably not true. And it's not true at all. But either way, it felt like that. So there's that. But then there's also the factor, which I think was probably a bigger factor. I'm not sure, but a bigger factor that, I was not playing well. I was at that time, so I was on I'd say a big slump where I feel like I'm improving, but I'm losing over and over and over. And worse than that, it's the way I was losing. I was losing games. And anyone that's heard the stream has heard hashtag just resign, but I'm losing games that that often felt completely unlosable. Like some of these games, it's like you almost have to try to find the move that will lose. And here I am trying to find the moves that will desperately trying to find the moves that will win. Yet what's coming out of my hand or what's coming out of the end of my mouse is the move that loses the game. So I was real down on my shogi and real not dejected, but just I had no confidence. No confidence. And, coming off the 2024 year, which was so good, I thought, man, I'm just going to lose. And my memories of 2024 are going to be kind of tainted by these terrible losses that I'm going to have. And then in addition to those questions, there weren't clear numbers of how many people were going to come this year. So I thought, I thought the majority of the players were, air quotes, just going to be local Silicon Valley and San Francisco Bay Area people. And I was thinking, you know what? I'm not feeling great about my game. This is going to be very expensive. And I'm going to end up just playing people that I can play every week anyway. Maybe I should just not do this. I'm going to go to the event just to greet people that I haven't seen in a year. And that young kid from Japan was going to be there, with his mom. So they flew out for this event, and he's like 2-3 dan ish at least level, 81 dojo. He's improved a lot. He's got a coach, he's playing in Japan, back in Japan. And he had an amazing tournament, by the way. He didn't make the top 4, but he beat one of the semifinalists from last year, and he had a great tournament. The kid's great. The kid's an amazing player. and I was glad to be able to see him. And so anyway, so I went. But as it turned out, and this is Friday night, the meet and greet event where I got to see I Dream of Shogi and Led Zeppelin and meet some new people. It came up that they're going to be streaming this event, and I don't remember exactly what happened, but they're like, does anyone? I don't remember what it was, but basically, I think there's like, does anyone know what to do with this? And I Dream of Shogi, the YouTuber I Dream of Shogi was at this event, and he's like, Frank is a streamer, or something like that. Frank knows this. It's like he volunteered me for it. So I went over there, looked at it, and one of the people setting it up, the people that were setting it up and building the layouts and setting up the computer and bought all the equipment, they're players. They're playing. So it's like, okay, I can do this. I'll do it for you. So as it turned out, Saturday and Sunday, I manned the stream and I inputted the moves into Go. What is it, a Shogi GUI? I think they were using, which gave the eval on part of the stream. So the layout was done really nicely. One of the downsides was the only critical problem with that stream was that it didn't have sound. Like, you couldn't hear the sound of the playing hall or the sound of the pieces. Because of other technical snafus, or limitations. But other than that, I think it was a great stream, and it was really fun to take part in. So it was an amazing weekend. I watched great players. I came out of that with lots of lessons, and it was a great time. It was a great time. Okay, well, tell me about that experience. Tell me what is that like, manning the booth for the event? It was fun. It was really, really times 10 fun, but also incredibly stressful. So I was there at the booth. I'm recording moves. By watching, the moves on the board for the players, and I'm trying also. These for me, these are like the heroes of the shogi world for me. Like, I'm not big into the pro game. What I care about is amateurs, and especially what I care about is Western shogi amateurs. My peers, if you will. These are the people that I really respect and admire and like to play with. So I'm doing my best to sit there and not make a single move. I don't want to give off any indication of like, oh, this was a good move or this was a bad move. I don't want to make any distraction. So I'm sitting there just with the mouse trying to make the most minute movements, till one point on the second day, as I'm doing this, my arms started getting sort of numb, tired, just because I hadn't moved. There was no movement and stressful. And I'm just, I'm playing through the pain to deliver this nice, like the nice move list, and not to bother people. So it was incredible. I almost can't describe it. It was just such a fun event. And at the same time, I was on my phone. I'm trying with one hand to sort of make messages just to try to give some life to the stream, because especially without volume, it's tough to build hype. It's tough to get people excited, and I can understand if someone would come to the stream and not hear sound and just see the video, they might turn away or might not enjoy it as much. So I'm trying to, how I can, keep chat going, and it was a blast. It was stressful, but it was an experience. It's an experience that I would never want to throw away. Well, that sounds really cool. I think everyone should probably go to a tournament at some point. Would you agree? Absolutely. Even though I didn't play in the second tournament, I have to say, and I say this to everyone that asks, if you can go to a tournament, just like this recent ESC, European Shogi Championship that just ended this past weekend. If you can go. Don't worry about being bad. Don't worry about anything. Don't worry about anything. Just go. Shogi people are really nice. We all want more players. No one's going to go and make fun of anybody. Just go, just have fun and enjoy watching it. It's a blast. The people are nice and you won't regret it. Good advice. Good advice. Great. No, in fact, great advice. Do you have any other advice for people that are beginning in Shogi? Certainly. And this is a topic that I've mentioned in my podcast, Shogi in the West. Oh, you have a podcast. Yes, it's called Shogi in the West. And I'm working on the 3rd episode. And in the 2nd episode, we talk about getting started in Shogi. And I think for me, of all the advice, the one that still is the most important is have fun, find the fun. That is really it, because the game is a really fun game. And if you don't treat it as such, I think you're missing out. And I think you may not fully engross yourself in it or get into it enough so that you could really just sort of, I don't even like reap the benefits or something. Yeah, I'm not making sense, but find the fun. And if that means studying openings, if that means doing Tsume, if that means doing Hishi, if that means playing 3-minute bullet on Shogi Wars, find that fun and just do it. And if you do something that you enjoy, you're going to get better at it. And, getting better really shouldn't, I'd say, most people would agree that getting better shouldn't be the goal. But for a lot of us, it is. And it's nice when you are getting better, and you'll get better if you have more fun. Well, take a segue from that. Getting better is a hot topic in all these types of games. Shogi, chess, Go, backgammon, any of these games. What is your balance? Would you say that you're someone who plays for the fun of the game, or are you someone who plays to improve? So really, that's the question. Do you play to improve? Do you play to have fun? This is a tough question. I ask myself this a lot. Lying in bed, I think about this question. I just splashed water up my nose. I think for me, the answer, and this is going to be a cop-out, is somewhere in the middle. These types of games, these types of sort of cultural, historic, mind games that have stood the test of time and will stand the test of time, they're almost too important to me to just treat as like a fun diversion. So I get into these games, and the way I get into them is to start caring about my improvement. It's just how I am. Everyone is different, but without the chance to get better or without that improvement aspect, I don't think I would enjoy these types of games. So for me, getting better is a huge portion of it. And so I tend sometimes to focus or over-focus on the metrics around improvement. And the main metric, of course, is rating. And that's good and that's bad because it's motivation. And it's concrete. It's a number. It's a number, and numbers are fun to make go up, to get better. But it's a downside because you start playing to the measurement, and anytime there's a measurement, you start gaming the measurement. And so I'm somewhere in there. I really want to improve. I'm desperately trying to improve. And the external manifestation of improvement is the rating. So I'm almost, by virtue of caring about my improvement, I am over-focusing on my rating. which is absurd because my rating is still relatively low. Well, what is your rating? I'm the site that I care the most about in terms of rating, the one that I value the most because it has matchmaking, because it has a bigger player base, despite its time controls, is Shogi Wars. And there I am 1Q, but I'm getting to the point now where I am very close to finally getting Shodan there. On 81 Dojo, I have a higher rating, and I do have a Shodan Menjo certificate, which I've shown on stream before. I did get that on 81 Dojo, and I feel like such an imposter, and it feels like such nonsense to even say it. But I did hit 2Dan on 81 Dojo. I think it's completely illegitimate somehow. I think I just had a lucky streak. If you look on there, I just don't have many games played. It's not like Shogi Wars where I have literally thousands of games played. On 81 Dojo, I think my record, I don't know, it's like 80 wins, 70 losses. So I've got like 150 games there. And their rating system is pretty volatile. You win 2 or 3 games at the lower levels, and you're kind of going to rank up. And I did. So and I haven't played a rated game since. So if I played some more rated games, I'd probably drop down back into 1 Dan or 1 Q. I think that's a real possibility if I did play more rated games. But that said, lately on stream, I do play some practice games. I do play some casual games on stream occasionally at 81 Dojo, and I've won the most recent game that I streamed there. I think was against a 2Dan, and I won that game. I've won against a Shodan and a 2Dan 3 times in the past couple weeks, I think, on stream. And then off stream, I played a new 2Dan, just because it was a new Brazil name that I didn't recognize. I played, and again, this is just a casual game. So not as important as a rated game. But I was losing that game, but I won it because as he was chasing my king up the board, he ran out of time. And at the time, we weren't even sure who was winning, I think. But it was, later review, it was him. But anyway, so I feel good about that. For at least, it's like, I feel like such an imposter, but at least I've got some sort of reinforcement saying that maybe I'm not such an imposter. But anyway, the rating that I do care the most about is Shogi Wars. And I'm embarrassed to say, if and when I hit Shodan there, I'm going to I think I'm gonna celebrate. I really think I'm gonna feel, if and when it happens, I think I'll feel really great about it. I just, I've put so much of myself into my Shogi Wars games, and I've put so much of myself into Shogi and the Shogi stream that even though this rating, it's just Shodan, and it's the beginning of the stage of becoming it's the beginning step to becoming a beginner at the game almost. But I still want to hit it. So I think most people will understand this. Even if you poo-poo the idea of ratings, I think everyone knows sort of what I'm talking about with that move, that goal, that initial big goal is Shodan. And I would love to hit that on Shogi Wars. I really would. Because, for among other things, Shogi Wars, it takes so much grinding. unless you use Kishin or something like that, obviously. But it takes so much grinding. It takes winning against so many different players, and the rating system, it can sometimes be so unforgiving. And you do also face potentially people using Kishin against you occasionally. So, it only takes a few, like even if it's only 1% or 2% of the games that you play, someone uses a Kishin against you, that's still, that's one or two losses that might have been wins and might have put you over the top. So like the last time when I ranked up to 1Q, I think it took me 7 attempts from when I was on the verge of rank up. I needed another win. I think I choked a bunch of those games, and then I got outplayed in some of those games, and it just took a long time. It was basically like me trying to get there, and then just finding the right opponent, that would resign early. That really was it. Just keep putting myself into the position for rank up, and eventually I'll get lucky, and it happened. And so hopefully this time it won't be quite like that, and I'll be able to just blast through. But we'll see. So what are your other goals in Shogi? Do you have any goals? Yeah, I think for me the a lot of my goals in Shogi are tied to the stream and now tied to the podcast in some way. I would love to see it, outside of my ratings improvement. I would love to see myself winning more games at the club, where I record the wins. I don't record. I mean, I track the absolute number of times I've won at the club, but I don't track all the losses. We have Kifus, and I could probably go back and backtrack. But my guess is I only win between 15 and 20% of the games, maybe even fewer. So I would like to win more at the club. But my opponent is younger, and seems to be growing faster as well. So he's great, and it does. Even if I become great, it'll still be a tough job just to win. But that's it. Try to get better there. I would like. We're getting close on the YouTube channel to 500 subscribers, which sounds like nothing to anyone familiar with chess or any other channels, but for me it would be a nice number. We're in the high 400s, so it would be nice to hit that. I'm not going to lie. I would like to see that. I would like to see more viewers on Twitch and YouTube. What are those numbers like right now? So it's really strange. It's really strange. Twitch, I don't know what has happened on Twitch, if I've done something wrong or what, but my Twitch numbers have sort of fallen off a cliff, where prior to last month, when I took I had to help bring my daughter across country for grad school. I ended up, and she was graduating from university. So I ended up taking about close to 2 weeks off. I stream every weekday, Monday through Friday, and often on the weekends. But effectively, I took a week and a half to 2 weeks off streaming because I was doing all this family stuff. And prior to that, my Twitch numbers were I was probably averaging, and again, these are not big numbers, coming from chess streamers or video game streamers or anyone else. But at the time, I was averaging probably around a concurrent total of around 15 Twitch people and around 10 YouTube people. So somewhere, between 20 and 25 concurrent viewers across both channels. Since that break, the Twitch numbers have not come back and the YouTube numbers have come up. So I think I am now averaging somewhere between 5 and 10 Twitch concurrent viewers and 15 to 20 concurrent YouTube viewers. So, absolute numbers are still about the same between the platforms, but Twitch has really gone down. And often, a lot of times during these Twitch streams, it's fewer than 5 people. And I just don't know what happened. I don't think they all just switched to YouTube, but maybe they did, because the YouTube experience, I think, is quite good. The YouTube viewing experience these days for live streams, I think, is rather good. So maybe that's it. I don't know, but it is mildly concerning, because I'm someone who wants to see the numbers go up. Not even just for me. I just want to see more people caring about Shogi. And if it's possible, if people don't care about Shogi, then maybe we'll have fewer tournaments. Maybe we'll have fewer players to interact with. We'll have less news. What are we doing here if the community size doesn't grow? So there's that. There is that. But those are the numbers. I would like to see the numbers go up. I'd like to see those YouTube numbers go up. I would like to give the opportunity, maybe more opportunities for people to show support, financially. And that 500 number at YouTube does unlock that, where you can have someone, air quotes, join the channel, similar to Twitch subscribing. I've never enabled the subscription button on Twitch, just because I don't want people to see ads. I don't want someone to be interested in Shogi, come to the channel, get an ad, you get a 45-second Twitch ad and be like, I'm out of here, and then leave and never come back. So, there's no great way to show, like, to use, for example, Twitch Prime subs by just giving them to me. That would be nice. I'm still thinking about that, but the numbers are so small on Twitch anyway. Maybe not. So anyway, I'd like to see those numbers go up. What else? I'd like to see. It's not really my goal, but it's not really something I have direct control over, but it's something that is my goal. Like, I would like to see more people doing Shogi content. Like, that was one of the goals from the beginning, is that I hoped that in me, this pitiful person doing Shogi content, maybe better players would see this and be like, oh, I can do better than that. Let me do it. And then I'd have something to watch. Because selfishly, and I've talked about this before, selfishly, I want more content. And so I consume my own, as ridiculous as it sounds, I'm so craved for Shogi content, I consume my own content. It's absurd. But I watch it, and I got my popcorn, I've got my water, I'm watching the stream. What's he gonna do now? It's like it's especially since I don't remember half the stuff that I'm doing on stream. It's like, oh, this is interesting. This is something. What's gonna happen? And because I don't remember. That's how pitiful I am. I don't remember exactly what happened. So I'm kind of watching this content with fresh eyes. And the thing, I'll say this, is that the thing about that is that when you are spectating my streams, if you're spectating and you see mates or you see good moves, don't judge me too harshly for not seeing it. Please, when I miss mate in 1, or when I miss a mate in 3, or I miss the obvious tactic, please don't judge me so harshly, because I will be judging myself later on walkthrough. Because like you in the audience watching these streams and immediately seeing these great moves, when I am watching my own streams, I immediately see the tactics. And these are games that we haven't even reviewed. So these will be games we didn't review, we never looked at. This is just, as I'm watching the game in the window, in the stream, I'm seeing these tactics just all over the place. And I'm like, pulling the little bits of hair that I have out of my head, being like, how did I miss that? How did I miss this? So anyway, I ask, be gentle, and just be aware that I'm harder on myself later on in the stream. Okay, well, we've already gone on for an hour and 20 minutes. I have a lot of other questions, but maybe we'll have to save that for another day. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything that you want to promote? Um, and the floor is yours. Sure, sure. So one thing I would like to promote are a couple are is one channel just because it's come up lately, and he was expressing some discontent with his whole video process, and it's Urashino Ryu channel. The link will, I'll provide the link. And this is a guy, he releases every day a video. It's Japanese. So often I won't even listen with sound. But he plays 2 or 3 games of 3-minute bullet on Shogi Wars. He's a 5-dan Shogi Wars player. He uploads these. They are like gold to me. As an Urashino Ryu player who's played thousands of games now of Urashino Ryu, these videos from Urashino Ryu channel are like gold to me. And every single night, without fail, as part of my bed process, I watch the current day's video. I turn it on, the ad pops up, I click the like button, and then I click the skip button for the ad, and then I watch the video. And that has been part of my daily routine now for at least 6 months. And he got a really nasty comment recently on one of his videos. I can't remember what it said, but like the commenter was like, so weak. Just like, this is so weak, or something like that. Just kind of, a nasty comment. And Urashino Ryu channel it was coming through YouTube auto translate, which is terrible for Japanese. I got the gist of it, and I could hear the emotion in his voice. He's trying so hard to create these videos, and he's trying so hard to do his best. And at some point he said, like, he's thinking about pulling back the amount of uploads he's doing. And so show that channel some love. Give some subscribe. He's got over 11,000 subscribers. Japanese YouTubers get more, shogi players get more interest than we do in the West. But where I'm trying to get 500. He's got 12,000. But show him some love, and like his videos, subscribe to his channel. Because I just selfishly, I don't want to see this thing go. It's too good. So there's that. Then the rest is just my stuff. YouTube. Check out the YouTube channel. Check out the Twitch channel. The YouTube channel is Oh Hi There Shogi. I've got a hand gesture popped up here. Let me get that out of there. Oh Hi There Shogi. The link will be in there. Twitch, I'm Shogi Dad, and that's it. I hope people enjoy the content. Some people have learned, are learning along with me. Some people are learning English, improving their English through watching these videos. There's everything in between. I'd also, just because he is a favorite of mine, I would like to say check out Shogi Brazil, the Shogi Brazil channel led by Koshiro Hama, who is one of my heroes. One of my shogi heroes. All around great guy, has helped me so much in my game, and just came back from the European Shogi Championship, where he tied for 5th and did incredibly well despite a ridiculous bracket. And everything that entails, always cheering for him. So there's that link will be there. And what else? Gosh, I hope I'm not missing something. But that's it. It's been an honor to be on the podcast. All right, well, thank you. Like Shogi Dad said, the links will be in the YouTube description for this podcast. And if you are interested in being interviewed, please contact me through the Discord, the Shogi Harbor Discord, through the YouTube comments, or through email, shogidad81@gmail.com. And, we'll try to make it happen. The only things I ask is that we're going to have face, we're going to have voice, and we're going to have at least name. So, for example, when this is released, this video it'll say, interview number 1, Frank, 1Q Shogi Wars. So that's going to be the format. So we're going to immediately go with just like a first name, or if you want your last name as well, give whatever name you want, as long as it's your real name. It's got to be at least your first name. And then your rating at the site, whatever you consider to be your rating, just to get a sense of where people are. Because while this is a podcast about the people and faces of the Western shogi world, there's probably, over time, there's going to be a slight bias to improvement as a topic, as so many of these podcasts are. So improvement and ratings, these are going to be constant topics. So when you get a sense of the people being interviewed, I think it helps, at least in the podcasts that I have followed in the past for say, chess. It's like, oh, this is going to be Joe. This guy is at 5Q. So now I sort of have a sense of what to do. Or this is going to be Ted, and this guy is at 5 Dan. So he's going to have a different set of circumstances. It's going to be a different discussion in many ways. So I think that adds a little bit of flavor just to the description, and that's what I'm looking to do. So send me that, and we'll discuss. Probably going to be doing this on Google Meet. That's what I'm doing this for. So my face right now, the main face is actually the Google Meet face going through a separate camera. That's why it looks different, and I'm guessing that's why the color is different. So there's that, but this is how we'll do it. So anyway, long story short, I look forward to more, and I'll continue with the podcast. I appreciate all the kind words that you all have given. I appreciate the likes. I appreciate the subscribes. Like, honestly, it's a meme, like and subscribe. It really does mean something, especially to small channels like this. It really does. Just to know that there is someone out there consuming this. I'm not speaking purely to the void. I'm doing my best. I hope to improve over the coming months. I hope this weird format of one person interviewing the same person and then effectively just blabbing about shogi and my experience for an hour plus. I hope this wasn't too self-serving and too boring. Really, I'm really trying to thread that needle. And like I said, I am doing my best. I want to see this game grow. I want to see more people interested in shogi. I want to see more tournaments. I want to see more players. I want to see more viewers. I want to see more content creators. I want to see more books getting written by English language speakers and writers. I want to see magazines. I want to see more photos of people's events. All this stuff as a shogi player, I'm craving, and I want to see more of it. And so I'm trying to do my best in my limited skills to encourage it in some way and to add some of my own. So long story short, I'm doing my best. I appreciate the support. I appreciate all the discussion, and I hope you enjoy it. So thank you. Enjoy your shogi. Have a great remainder of the day, and I will see you soon. Take care.